Hello everyone, it's Brave here again. I'm just going to have a quick chat with you guys about what I think about plastic surgery and superficiality. Now, for me, growing up in London, there was a lot of competition between people feeling that they needed to wear certain brand name clothes, and if anyone wasn't wearing those brand name clothes, apparently they weren't worthy to be your friend, or they needed to have a certain backpack, like certain brands like Adidas and Nike, and Reebok was the sort of third choice, which is really silly because it's just like certain families might not have had the spare money to buy all these things. But I noticed that people would go into debt just to buy their kids these ridiculous brand name items just to fit in. So the parents weren't teaching the kids in the home that this is nonsense. We're not wasting money on the same pair of socks, but for a £20 pair of socks with a tick on it, when I can get 20 pairs of socks for that don't have a tick on it. And so for me, growing up, initially I think I bought into the nonsense of, oh my gosh, I have to ask my parents to get me this particular brand or I'm not going to be accepted in school. But that was at a very young age. I didn't feel that way when I got to perhaps high school age, over kind of 15. That's more like at the end of high school for British kids. So we go to school from 5 years old to 11 and a half, and that is called primary school. And then when we 11 and a half till 15 and a half, that's high school, but we call it secondary school. So once I got to 15, I was just like, this is so stupid. I don't care if I'm wearing the latest trainers. I just want to be comfortable. I don't care if I have a tick on my bag, an Adidas logo on my bag. I really don't care. And so I was extremely strong. But like I said before, I got to about 15, there were moments when people made you feel like all you needed to do to be accepted was wear these brand names and they'd accept you. And for me, coming from a family who were not loving and caring and made you feel like you weren't good enough and made you feel like you weren't welcome or loved, you wanted to be accepted somewhere. I mean, obviously, being accepted by your family is better than being accepted by idiots at school, but then you're looking for family elsewhere when you don't have it in the home, I suppose. And I think a lot of people who have joined gangs, when they leave gangs later on, years later, and they talk about it, they often mention the fact that they came from a dysfunctional family unit or no loving parents, or and it made them feel unwanted. So they looked for that human connection, even if it was in a negative space. But they actually described their gang as feeling more like family than their family, even though they were carrying out bad acts together. Um, so for me, yeah, it was very strange, feeling like, why is it all these empty, silly, superficial things? Why are they so important? Why is it the person I am isn't what you want to get to know? Why would you accept me just because I put a hat on with the logo you think is good? Like, it was so stupid to me. From a young age, I always found it so weird that there was no human, like, sorry, the human beings didn't care about other human beings' character or how they behaved. They only cared about what they were wearing, and I found that so stupid. So to me, being a person of mixed heritage, I look different to most people. Like, even other mixed people, I look different because I have more than three ethnicities in my mixed heritage family. So no one could tell where I was from. Everyone would always be like, "Where are you from? Who are your people?" Like, they couldn't tell, and then I would do a whole rundown of, well, my mum is this, my dad is that, my nan is this, my granddad's that. Like, there were lots of different explanations, trying to get people just to understand. I have not just two heritages. I have multiple heritages, what do you call that? And it was always quite frustrating because people never seemed to want to accept me for just myself. And I found that so irritating. So I would always accept anyone as themselves. I never thought, oh, you're a different race, I can't be friends with you, or I don't think I have anything in common with you just based on the fact that we're not from the same place. Or I just was like, if you're nice to me, I'm nice to you. If you're friendly, I'm friendly. It was always, I'll treat you how I want to be treated, So a couple of times, the superficial aspect of things really just caused a fight, basically, because there would be people who they were insecure and they would then project onto you the thought that you think you're better than them because you have prettier hair. In their opinion, their hair is rough and not how they want it, and your hair is softer. So that seems to be something more in the Caribbean community or black communities. This color, they call it colorism and featureism and texturism, which basically translates to the fact that the world had convinced people of color that unless you have more European looking features, then you're not worthy, you're not desirable, you're ugly, basically, if you don't look a certain way. And then obviously mixed people don't look fully European, but they don't look fully black or African or whatever. And so people, in what I'd seen growing up in London, even though I'm born in London, but I was fully immersed in like the Jamaican community growing up, because even though I'm mixed and we have white, Scottish, Irish, Danish, all sorts of different stuff, we also have a bit of Indian and Jamaican. So we were mainly brought up around Jamaican community. And there was always this feeling of you're not one of us, which I found ridiculous because there were other mixed people who were being accepted. So why was I not being accepted? So it depended who you were around. But at the same time, it was like there was this air of they're jealous that you seem happy with yourself. I was never worried about anything about my body except, I think, because I was really tall for my age, people tried to make it a negative thing, like, oh my God, you're so big for a girl, you're big like a guy. And I was like, well, I'm tall, I'm not big. I'm tall and slim. So you'd have adults saying, oh wow, she's so tall and slim, she should be a model when she gets to 16 or 18. And they would compliment you, but then jealous, weird teenagers would be like, oh, you're so tall. But then other people would be like, wow, you're so tall, that's good, you can get modeling jobs, you're tall and slim and you look unique, that's what you should do. And I used to say, well, no, I don't want to be a model, that sounds boring and frivolous and pointless. I want to help people, I want to get a job where I can actually do some good, help save people. And I used to always think I was going to become a nurse. But then when I did get to the age where I could join nursing college, I actually realised that I don't like blood and guts, and I don't like having to deal with, gory things like accidents and things where people seriously hurt. And I thought, well, but I want to help people. Why am I feeling like this isn't the job for me? What else am I going to do to help people? And then excuse me, when I got into I came across psychology, and it was like my second language. I was just like, wow, I already feel and know everything that they're describing in these psychology books. I've already got it, the understanding, the knowledge. I just didn't know what words to put on what I felt and knew already. So my empath gift gave me the ability to understand other human beings at a deep core level. So when I came across psychology, I was just like, oh, this is perfect for me. This is how I can help people. This is how I would be able to, help repair people from the inside out rather than just sew up their their cuts and reset their broken legs, which won't heal their, you know, psychological issues. So yeah, getting back to the superficial thing, that was always a massive, massive thing in London, that strangers would laugh at other strangers and say, "Oh, look at what she's wearing. Look at the state of him. Look at her hair. Look at this." And I used to think, why aren't you looking after your kids? Why don't you look at your kids and worry about them? Why don't you look at yourself and worry about you? Like, why are you worried about me or her? Or, I remember one time I had like a penny jar, which just is where you put all your small change, so your purse isn't full of like 2 pence. Or I guess in other countries, you'll have those little coins, and it's annoying because you don't need them all the time. So you put them in a jar, like a little penny jar, 50p jar, whatever, 50-cent jar. And then I remember I thought, oh, let me use them up. And so I would, if I was buying something that didn't cost a lot, I would use sometimes the little pennies if it was really small, the amount what I was paying. But then some stupid other teenagers were like, "Oh my God, she must be so poor. She's paying with pennies." And I remember looking at them and thinking, well, even if if I was so poor that I had to pay with pennies, why are you laughing? What if I was so poor that I had to pay with pennies? What would be funny about that? So it was just so weird and so just, I couldn't believe it. I just thought, so if you saw someone who genuinely was struggling, your first thought is to laugh at them, ridicule them, mock them. That was what you felt in your heart was the right thing to do. And it just sickened me that these, young people had such cruel, evil hearts that it didn't occur to them that the thing to think of is to just be decent and kind, or just mind your own business. You know the old saying, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. Why aren't they practicing that? And yeah, so growing up in London and seeing the callousness and the lowly behaviour of everyone around was really quite hard for me, because I was not like these people. I was not superficial. I knew how to dress nicely, but it wasn't overpriced clothes. It was, pick things that suited my body, that I liked, that were comfortable, that were stylish by my standards, not by anyone else's. So because I would pick things that were stylish by my standard, that I thought looked good in only my opinion, I didn't care if anyone else thought it looked good, then I always looked unique. So people would be jealous of the fact that I would wear outfits, put outfits together that they couldn't find, because I wasn't buying from the mainstream shops. I might go to, there was a place called Camden that's still popular now, Camden Town Market, and in North London, and I lived in Southeast London, so I had to travel a long way to get to this bit, which is closer to like central London, like the British Museum and stuff. It's not far from there. And it was like a great market where you could get alternative stuff, kind of gothy, unique stuff. And I used to sort of love black velvet, and have a long black velvet coat and just dress totally different to these silly people, all looking the same, all wearing the same boring brands, the same ugly tracksuits. Like, they never dressed smart. And I always had this elegant, unique style of like black lace and, long kind of tunic but slim, just really cool looking. I always looked really cool, and people always were like jealous of that because I wasn't fitting in with them. But I still looked awesome. I just didn't follow their ugly, sheep trend where they're all sheep and they all copy each other. And so for me, it was just like, I wish I had the confidence back then that I have now. I was confident back then, but not as strong as I am now, because obviously now as a grown up, I've been through so much more. I've overcome so much more, and I really truly do not care what anyone thinks. But back then, you didn't care what anyone thinks, but it kind of took a toll on you, having to always be aware of people's horribleness, aware of people's jealousy. It was exhausting, and sometimes you might for a second question yourself and say, is there something wrong with me? Why everyone seems to hate me all the time? Like, what am I doing that's attracting this? When really you weren't doing anything wrong. You were just being yourself, being a kind soul, and these nasty, negative, low vibrational idiots just could not handle the fact that you were happy in your own skin. And even on the days where you were struggling, you still helped others, and they know they wouldn't do that. They were jealous of the fact that you were a good soul, basically. It's almost like the darkness is drawn to the light and wants to snuff it out, basically. That's what it felt like. So for me, I always felt like, oh great, I have to always be ready to fight verbally, physically, because there were people who would literally be so jealous of you, especially in my community of the Caribbean community. You would be shocked how they would want to fight you physically just because you looked better than them. Like they would literally want to, like cut your hair off because your hair was longer than theirs or softer than theirs, or, they would want to fight you so they could ruin your beauty, I guess. It was very strange. And I had to learn to fight really early, like by 10 years old. I had to be ready all the time because someone might jump you. A group of girls might jump you just because they were jealous of you. And it was really sad to see. And even when I got to about 16, I'd say, and I thought, well, I've left school, the high school section, and I thought, now I'm free to go to what we call the community college level, which is age 16 to 19, and it's free to 16 to 19-year-olds, any courses you do at certain colleges. So what we call in England a college is not you we call a college, it's like not the higher education. It's like in America, I think you call college, I'm getting confused. In America, our university is called a college, and here in England, the university is like you have to pay a large amount of money to do the courses, but a college, you can pay a smaller fee and do the courses, or it's free between 16 and 19. Sorry, I was getting really confused then. It's really late at night here, but I just wanted to do one of these videos. So, sorry if I sound tired, my voice might sound a bit low energy. Right, so when I'm going to this 16 to 19-year-old set of courses at a college in Britain, I remember coming into contact with all these similar, superficial, boring, unintelligent, stupid other teenagers, but they're from other schools. So these are people not from my area. I've gone into a different area, so I'm commuting, I'm traveling, like 45 minutes on the bus to a different area, hoping to meet new people with new ideas and new attitudes, only to find the same kind of attitudes, the same kind of nasty, jealous girls and boys. And the weird thing with the boys was that they too were acting jealous of girls, which I thought was weird. But it was more just if you were happy in your own skin, they couldn't stand it because they weren't happy in theirs. They weren't allowed to be happy. They didn't allow themselves to be happy. They weren't strong enough to stand alone and say, I don't care what you think. I won't be part of your clique. I'd rather have no friends. I don't care, And I was really strong like that. I was like a lone wolf. I liked spending time by myself because I would read a lot and study a lot, and I enjoyed learning. I had a thirst for knowledge. I loved history. I could sit in the library and just read books alone and be happy, be at the bus stop by myself listening to music, and that would make me happier than sitting in a room with people who didn't like me. Why am I trying to convince a bunch of idiots to like me? I don't even like you, so why do I care if you like me? But that kind of thing, it shocked me that it didn't go away when you left school. I thought, well, we're 16, 17, 18, 19, surely we've all got to grow up now. But no, that high school mentality moves with immature people all the way into adulthood. You can have 70-year-olds who act like high schoolers. It's pathetic, but true. And so even when I was doing, I think it was a Prince's Trust course, and it was like a 12-week development thing that it was meant to give you life skills and advice, and you go and volunteer in the community, you help paint community centres and work with the kids and whatnot. And so I did one of those because it seemed to be the thing to do. It was free, and so I go on it, and there was a young guy, we were about the same age, 16 or 17, and I'm just sitting there and we're waiting for the class to begin. And he comes over. So he's born in Africa. He's got, chocolate brown skin, good looking guy. I had no idea he felt any insecurity, well spoken, intelligent. And then out of the blue, he comes over to me and says, I wish I looked like you. And I was like, huh? And I was thinking, wait, is he someone who cross dresses or likes women's clothes? Because I'm thinking, I don't understand what you mean. I'm a woman, I'm wearing female clothes. What do you mean you wish you looked like me? I don't have any problem with anyone who cross dresses or the LGBTQ community. But at the time, I really was confused. So I was friendly and said, sorry, what do you mean? And then he was like, I wish I was light skinned like you. And I was so heartbroken when he said that. And I said, what? I said, please don't ever feel that way. I think you're beautiful and intelligent. And, my ancestors look like you. People in my family look like you. And we are proud. And I am so heartbroken that someone in this world or people in, on the TV or in your community made you feel that you need to look like me. I was just so disgusted at the world and heartbroken for him that he couldn't even keep it inside. He had to come over to a stranger and admit this to me. And my heart broke for him. The same way how Michael Jackson kept bleaching his skin, changing his nose. And even though he had the vitiligo, which does make patches on your skin, so if you're brown, it's going to create white patches on your skin where the melanin is reduced and disappearing. But he could have, continued to use makeup to cover it. But then obviously if the vitiligo is making more of his body pale than brown, then I think there was some suggestion by his doctors that you might as well bleach off the brown bits. There's more white than brown. But then he should have come out and said, and been a spokesman for the condition and said, look, this is what vitiligo is. This is what I have. I have bleached off the last little brown patches just because I would look weirder, or I'd feel more insecure with all these patches everywhere. But for him to lie and say, no, I've never bleached my skin. Well, you have, because you bleached off the brown that was left and you didn't tell anyone about it, which made people feel like you were not proud to be your race. And then also affecting, yes, lots of people have nose jobs. Yes, lots of people are insecure about things on their body. But usually it's because the world has put some unhealthy, unachievable beauty standard that has forced them to feel they're not good enough. Like I said with Michael Jackson, he said, well, loads of people have had nose jobs. What's the big deal? Yes, that's very true. But if the reason you're having the nose job is you're hating yourself hating your race, it's not just my nose has got a bump in it or I broke my nose and I need it reset. It's not, those aren't the reasons you're getting it done. You're getting it done because of the systemic racism that has been going on so long. And it's it's literally from slavery. If you think about how slavery convinced the world that people of a black background are not good enough, and that's why it's okay to mistreat them in this atrocious way and do so many awful, evil things to them, lying and saying they don't have a soul, they don't feel pain, they're animals, they're not human. How dare people do that to any human being? It's so awful and disgusting, and it makes me very angry to think that this has happened in the world, you know, especially to some of my ancestors. It makes me so angry even now, but I can see how the negative stain of what was done back in slavery still touches the descendants of those people who were made to forced to be slaves. You know, people now will still call, you know, people of color certain words that they know will hurt them because it's to do with their skin color, and they are aware that it will get to them because of the way the world has portrayed them in a bad way and put the beauty standard up, that they're not good enough, their features aren't good enough. But then the joke is, and what I mean by the joke is, I mean the ridiculous thing is that you've got people who aren't from a black background or who aren't mixed with black, and they want the features, the bigger lips, the bigger bum, the bigger boobs, whatever. They want the features, but just they don't want to respect black people. So they will actually be like, oh, sorry, if you can hear a rumbling, that's actually my stomach. I'm actually really hungry and it's just growling so loud. So sorry if the camera picked that up. It's really loud. Yeah, so what was I saying? Yeah, so when people who are not black will do their hair in hairstyles that are associated with African people, get lip fillers, get, you know, cheekbone reconstruction or whatever, get uh, things injected into their butt to make it larger, you know, make their boobs bigger, tan their skin really dark, put on really dark makeup, and they're not that dark, you know. And then you think, well, what's going on here? Why are there darker skinned people trying to be pale and paler skinned people trying to be dark? It's very confusing. It's like, why is no one happy to be themselves? Like, what kind of world do we live in where everyone has to be someone else to feel any modicum of happiness, and then they're still not happy? And that's how you know it's a psychological thing, because if it was just, hey, I need a bigger bum and then I'll be happy, it wouldn't be such a big deal. But it is a psychological thing. It's almost like a body dysmorphia. But it's if we could have cured the mind, there would be a lot less superficial triggers. I think if people were able to talk about their issues, get past their issues, feel accepted, feel strong in themselves, in happy in their own skin, it wouldn't be so bad. But because they are always made to feel like they're not good enough, there's so many things out there that reinforce this bad narrative of you have to look like these people to be accepted in the world, you know? And it's just painful to see in the actual community, in the Caribbean community, in the black community, black American community, you know, anyone who descends from Africans, even if you're a mixed community, like in Brazil, how majority of the people who are there are mixed with, you know, they would have Portuguese and African descent from way back, but because it's like lots and lots and lots of mixed race people going back with mixed race people, having kids with other mixed people, they all kind of look mixed in their community. So people would say, I'm not black. The people there, because they're so mixed, they don't consider themselves black anymore if they look more on the pale side, because some people, when they're mixed and they have a child with another mixed person, they can pass for a different race. They can look more pale, more Portuguese or more Spanish or more European. And then if their hair is straighter or their eyes are green or blue, they would not want to claim that African ancestry, or they won't even say they're mixed. And why would you want to deny your ancestors? What's the reason? Well, it's the world telling you that your ancestors were nothing and nobody and not human. So a weak person would go around trying to deny that part of them because they have been convinced that there's something wrong with having that blood, with having that ancestry. Oh my gosh, my stomach's growling, sorry. I better go and have a cake or something. And then, so yeah, it's really, really painful for me to know that after centuries of slavery and things, that people, the descendants of the victims, the slaves, they should be strong and confident, and especially when in this day and age there are more opportunities for us. I'm not saying that there's not barriers, because there's a whole heap of people who would love to keep us down, you know, people of color, even keep each other down, which is sickening and disgusting to see that people of color will step on each other to be closer to the so-called people in power, the people they think are above them. They literally will put themselves below the people they consider above them, just because the people have a certain hair type or eye color or skin color is pale or whatever. And I'm not having a go at anyone who's not black. I'm mixed, so I accept everyone. This is just me talking about the facts and my experience. So I don't want anyone who's white or, you know, not black to feel like, oh, is she blaming us for the problems in the world? That's not true, because there's plenty of people out there who are white or not black, who are welcoming like me, who accept everyone, who don't have any racism in them, who are good people. So I just want to make that clear, okay? And but yeah, with the superficial narrative that is out there, just that people feel so insecure, so inferior. And when I look into it and look at, okay, why would, if all of us are from different parts of the world, you know, why do I, as someone in England who is mixed, why do I have to look like someone of a totally different race who's on the other side of the world, who I'm never going to meet? Like, why do I have to do that? Who said I have to do that? Now, if I was weak, I would follow magazines and say, oh, well, this magazine says I have to look like this to be worthy. But worthy to who? Who are these people in the magazine editing room? Why do I need to care what she or he thinks? Because isn't beauty in the eye of the beholder? So what he thinks is beautiful, the editor of the magazine or the woman who edits the photos, what they say is beautiful doesn't need to correspond to me, doesn't need to influence me if I have a brain of my own. You know, like, we're not the we're not the scarecrow from the Wizard of Oz with no brain. We have a brain. We can look in the mirror and be happy if we choose to with ourselves. But for some weird reason, people seem to be very, very weak minded and just take any person's criticism as fact. I mean, feelings aren't facts. Even if someone feels you're ugly, that's not a fact. That's just some Dumbo's opinion. I mean, someone could go up to someone who's a supermodel, and if she's insecure, even though she's a supermodel, if someone says, you're looking fat, actually, you're not as pretty as everyone says. And if she's insecure, or obviously she's been made to think that her beauty is the only value she has. But if someone says, well, you're beautiful, but you're stupid, or you're beautiful, but you're not good enough, you know, you're only good for walking the runway and nothing else, you know, that would get to a person, because every human being wants to feel worthy. But then the trouble is, who are you looking to get the approval from? Like, you need to look at yourself and approve of yourself and be grateful that, you know, you have the strength in yourself. See, this is the thing. People are not grateful for, you know, if you're in a healthy body and you don't have terrible disabilities and pains, and, you know, because there are some people who are disabled and going through terrible pain, psychological or physical, and they're happier than the person who has everything going for them: good health, so-called good looks, money in the bank. Like, it's so strange. That's why you realize how important it is to be strong of mind, to have the confidence. And I don't mean confidence in a superficial way, as in I'm better than you, I'm bragging, I'm so big-headed. I don't mean that kind of confidence. I mean genuine, loving yourself, standing for something good, not following the crowd, not bullying others because they don't want to follow the stupid superficial stuff. And for me, it's like, I would rather, I know it sounds dramatic, this sounds really, really dramatic, but I would rather die than go along with nasty, evil people, bullying other people, conforming to this corrupt, disgusting, evil world. Like, who exactly are you trying to imitate? Because most of the world is corrupt and evil and soulless. So if you're a good soul, why do you want to look like them? Why do you want to behave like them? Like, there's so much that you could be doing that's better, and yet you choose to lower yourself, lower your vibration, go and do vile things, chop off pieces of yourself, add pieces to yourself, and you're still broken on the inside. You're still psychologically damaged because you're not fixing the thing that needs to be fixed, which is your mindset. I mean, most people can't do it by themselves. Some strong people can soothe themselves, calm themselves, help themselves, get themselves through their trauma. But some people will need help, and that's when you reach out to, a counsellor or a psychiatrist or support groups. And there are some free ones out there, and it's not easy. I know some people find it hard to reach out and ask for help. They feel embarrassed to say, I'm overwhelmed, I'm struggling, I'm not happy with myself. They feel like, for instance, I remember people who blatantly were jealous of me, not because I made them feel that way, but they would make it up in their head that I thought I was better than them, or I thought they were ugly, when I never said anything like that to them. I did nothing but encourage them, but they projected onto me the insecure voices in their head that told them, you're ugly, everyone thinks you're ugly, this girl isn't really your friend, she thinks you're ugly, she's just, laughing at you behind your back, which wasn't true. But this is the person's introjects in their head, the intrusive thoughts from either their depression or insecurity or whatever. And sadly, so many people who I was encouraging and helping, they were just hating me behind my back, and I thought we were friends, and I would have done anything to help them. But they could not get over their projection, their anger. They could not get over their own insecurity, so they projected onto me things they made up in their head about what they thought I was thinking. And like I said before in my videos, they hated in me what they lacked in themselves. So say if I'm, showing that I'm kind, I'm brave, I'm loyal, I'm helpful, I can make something out of nothing. I'll always get back up when people knock me down. I'll never bow my head. I'll always be strong. And if they didn't have those things, or they couldn't cultivate those things inside themselves, they would hate you for having those things. And they wouldn't consider how much pain you'd gone through, how hard it was to get back up after being knocked down and abused and beaten and arred, and so many horrible things that have happened to me. So many times I felt like I can't go on, I'm gonna, take myself out of here. And they don't consider how much I've been through, because all they cared about was, oh, I'm jealous of her because she's smiling today and she looks good today and her hair looks good today. Well, so what? I look good today, but I didn't look good at the time I was being beaten and had to run away from my family, or the time I was ARD and tried to go to the police and they didn't believe me and help me. And you know what I mean? Like, it's so sad that at the times where I had the most trauma going on, I couldn't turn to anyone. I had to go through that by myself. I had to deal with all of that by myself. And these silly things they're worrying about, they haven't even had half of the terrible things happen to them that I have had happen to me. And so for me, it's like, why would you be jealous of me? Because even when I've told them these terrible things have happened to me, I say to them, do you really want to be me? Or you just want to look like me? Because if you wanted to be me, you would have to go through all that childhood trauma, being beaten by your mum from age 7 to 15, having to physically fight your dad off because he would come in and out of your life and try and attack you, um, having to call the police to have him removed from your house, you know, and like, being hard, being, being in relationships with narcissists where they abuse you, psychologically, emotionally, physically. Like, do you really want to be me? Because if you really want to be me, you will also have to take on my psychological pain that I feel every single day, that I can't get rid of, that I can only reduce and cope with and try and move on, but it's always there. you know Sometimes I have flashbacks, sometimes I can't sleep, sometimes, people say stuff and it triggers me, reminds me of the people from my past, new people, totally new people, but they say something and don't realize they're triggering an old memory, a painful memory. And so when you say it to them, you would think they would be understanding, but they're so superficial. They're just like, no, I want to look like you. Oh, so you don't care that, despite, like, even though I look like this, despite looking better than you apparently, but it still didn't save me from having a terrible life. So why are you not getting? The point is, it doesn't matter what you look like, you can still struggle. So really you should just be count yourself lucky you weren't me, because look what's happened to me. My beauty didn't save me from anything. It attracted more vultures than it kept away. If anything, I wish I looked plainer so people would not notice me and leave me alone. I mean, like, it's just very, very strange, and the world is very strange. And I just hope people will think more carefully about what matters, about the content of their character, about the people they want to be. If you, died right now and someone had to read, you know, what do they call it, a eulogy at your funeral, what do you want it to say? Do you want them to lie and be like, yeah, she was great, she was kind, she was this, when you were none of that? It's so important to be a decent, normal human being. Stop being superficial, stop being cruel, stop being selfish, stop hating people for stupid reasons like, oh, your hair's a bit longer than mine, oh, your skin's a bit lighter than mine. Focus on you. Stop focusing on other people and what they have, their features, their body. People are so, oh God, it's just, I don't want to call people stupid. Sorry, I was going to say people so stupid, but people are choosing to do stupid things and think stupid things and focus on empty, useless, unimportant things. And why is it so easy for people to go towards the negative when there's any, situation in the world where there's negativity? It's shocking how many people will jump on the bandwagon. Like in the UK, we're having these race riots at the moment, and it should have been all the good people against the evil people, but instead, some idiot racist people took the opportunity to take this terrible tragedy and turn it into a race war thing when it's nothing to do with race. It's to do with a terrible, evil young man who did a terrible, evil thing. And all our hearts go out to the family of the victims, and we're so sorry for the loss of life of the victims. That's what the good people are worried about. How is the family coping? We're so sorry for your loss and the way it happened. What can we do to prevent knife crime and mentally ill people, running around hurting people? What can be done? That's what the normal people are thinking about. The racist people see that and go, oh, since the guy who hurt these poor children and took their lives is a different race to them. Let's make it about race, and then let's tar every person who looks similar to that person or is mixed with those people, tar them all with the same brush and say that they're monsters too, and kick them out of a country they're born in. I mean, how dare you? You know, it's just so sick, because I've never hurt a soul in my life. You're not going to tell me to leave the country I'm born in because of what some other evil person did. How dare you? Like, but that is a kind of evil thing that has happened, that people will use a terrible tragedy like this to fuel their own disgusting agenda, even though what are you doing in the community to keep people safe? You're not. You're actually going out there and being a violent person too. So how are you how are you on your high horse when you're going out there hurting innocent people? I mean, you're not doing it for the victims, you're doing it for your own racist agenda. You know, you just needed the spark to light the dynamite to get all the other nutters to jump on the bandwagon. It's terrible, it's very upsetting, but I was really proud to see how many anti-racist people came out, and they outnumbered the racists way more, you know, 10 to 1. And I was so proud to see that, oh, there are good people left in the world, thank goodness, because I really hadn't seen any for a long time. And so I was thinking, oh my God, like, do I have to carry a weapon now? You know, I've never felt that unsafe in my own country that I had to consider, should I carry a weapon, because now we have racist idiots trying to jump innocent people, men and women and children. How dare they? It's just disgusting. But oh, I just pray that things will, you know, calm down. But at the same time, you just don't know. People will erupt out of nowhere and do terrible things and then claim they're doing it in the name of so and so, when those people were not racist. So the victims who were sadly taken, if their families aren't racist, they're not condoning what you're doing. They don't want you using their relatives' name as, you know, the reason why you're burning down innocent people's homes. Why would they want that? It doesn't even make sense. You know, it's good against evil. It needs to be all the good people sticking together and saying, how can we prevent, you know, things like this happening again? Let's put safety measures in place. Let's make sure we have security at schools or at dance classes or anywhere where vulnerable people are. Like, you know, I mean, it's just really so sad, you know. I just, anyway, but my video's gone a bit longer than I wanted. I'm very tired now, so I'm going to head off. But thank you everyone for listening. I hope everyone is okay, and I just hope God will protect you and keep you safe. And wherever you are in the world, I wish you peace and protection, love and light. And that's all from me tonight. And if you get anything good out of any of my videos on my channel, Unconquerable Soul 1111, if you ever feel that any of my videos brought you any comfort or brightened your day or made you think, please please like and subscribe and share, and I would appreciate that. And like I said, God bless you all. Sorry, I'm so tired. That's why I'm slurring all my words. My eyes are closing as I'm talking. Yeah, so that's it, everyone. Good night, and bye for now. Thank you. Bye.